Good morning, Santa Clarita. Welcome in. Well, welcome. It is good to have you. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. I am Matt Watson, and this is SCVI and iLead School's Eye on the Valley. You know our show. You remember. Eye on the Valley is brought to you by SCVI and iLead Schools. We are a network of free charter schools with campuses in Castaic, Agua Dulce, Lancaster. We've got a fully accredited online school, a burgeoning homeschool program. That's called iLead Exploration. Well, you know what? Just go to iLeadschools.org. That's where you can find information on all of our classroom-based or virtual schools. Again, iLeadschools.org. So we keep our eye on education here in the Valley and across the country as well. But we also like to keep the other eye on the Santa Clarita Valley and bringing you everything that you need to know about what's what right here in Awesome Town. And we do so while trying to bring a smile to your face, try to make you chuckle, bring you a little bit of information, and just get your weekend off to a great start. So how you been? I've been doing great. You know, we took a little time off for vacation last week. You know, I'm a teacher, and we get our spring breaks. So yeah, we work hard, we play hard. And, it is an absolutely amazing Friday out there. It's going to be another gorgeous weekend in SoCal. Yeah, that's why your mortgage is so high. So what do you got going on this weekend, huh? I mean, it looks like the Cowboy Festival is almost ready to go. Are you excited about that? That is going to be amazing. And I tell you what, if you're not into the Cowboy Festival, why don't you hit hometownstation.com, take a look at what else is going on this weekend. There's lots of fun and just beautiful springtime weather out there for you. But before you do, go ahead and pour yourself another cup of coffee and relax a little bit. You can hang with us for a while and figure out what you're doing this weekend and listen while we visit with some great people doing some great things here in the Valley. Yep, it is another amazing show. We've got an amazing show for you this morning. In just a moment, you're going to meet Ally Benedetti and two of her students from SCVI. We call them learners at SCVI. Ms. Benedetti's 8th graders are, you're not going to believe this, but it's true. They are learning to fly out there at SCVI. Yeah, you heard me. That's right. So we'll talk to them in just a moment. You'll also meet Lisa Hooper. Do you know Lisa Hooper? She's the head volleyball coach out at COC. Lisa's running a volleyball camp for your kids this summer. So if that's your kids' jam, you're going to want to listen to what Lisa's got to say about the amazing athletic things they've got going on at COC. In hour number 2, how about a good steak? You like a good steak? Maybe some grilled salmon, a little lobster and shrimp bisque. Yeah, getting hungry already. What about a carrot cake or something like that? That'll make your eyes roll back into your head. Well, we're going to talk to Greg Amsler at Salt Creek about all the deliciousness that he's got for you and all the ways that they're giving back to the community because that's what we do here in Awesome Town. We give back, we take care of each other, right? And then yes, my dumb brother, he'll be here too. Big T's got trivia and some goofing off, and it'll be fun. So let's go ahead and get to it, shall we? Like I said, my first guest joined me from SCVI Charter School over on the west side of town, just off of Newhall Ranch Road, Ally Benedetti, and two of her 8th grade learners, Solomon Press and Everett Osterkamp, are here. Ally's class they've been learning to fly in school, and it's so cool. Solomon and Everett will tell you all about it. Ally, Solomon, Everett, welcome to Eye on the Valley.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Glad to have you guys here. So let's go ahead and start with the learners. I want to get to know a little bit about you before we get into, like, for real, like airplanes that you're flying. So cool. So Solomon, Everett, tell you what, Solomon, why don't we start with you? How long have you been at SCVI?
I've been at SCVI for about 4 years now.
About 4 years, and you're in 8th grade?
Yes.
Okay, very cool. So you kind of went that late elementary, and now you're in middle school. Everett, how long have you been with SCVI?
I've been with SCVI since kindergarten.
Okay. Oh, wow. So this is like kind of the only school that you've attended.
Yes.
Kindergarten through 8th grade, and for those of you that don't know, we go all the way up to 12th grade, and so it actually is possible, and we've got actually several graduates this year that have been with us kindergarten through 12th grade, never been to another school. Although, Solomon, you said you came over, about 4th or 5th grade, so you did attend another school before you came to SCVI. What do you find that's different about SCVI than, I'm assuming you were at a traditional public school?
Yes, I was. I think SCVI, the teachers give you more time, like, they work one-on-one with you, and I think when I was at the public school, they'll give you a whole bunch of work, and then just do it on your own.
Okay.
But I feel like they give more effort to help you like really understand what you're learning.
Okay.
And honestly, just like a better environment too. Everyone's a lot more welcoming, and yeah, I think it's just overall a better experience for kids.
Yeah, I have to tell you, it was about 12 years ago I joined SCVI, and that was the first thing that I noticed too, is everybody just kind of felt comfortable being who they were. I felt a very welcoming environment as well, and speaking about that individualized attention and the kind teachers that you get, Everett, I just heard you got a little bit of a reprieve on a test that you were supposed to have today, right?
Yeah,
Ms.
I
Benedetti
did.
kind of set that one aside. That's not just for you being on the radio. Is that for your classmates, or do they still have to take the test today?
Oh, no, the class at school is taking it.
Sorry, friends. All right, way to go. Okay, now, Ms. Benedetti, let's talk to you. You've been with the iLead family for a little while, but you are new-ish to SCVI. Can you share a little bit about your journey with us, how you come to find us, and what you're doing with us now?
So I finished my credential program, and I was looking for a school that was the right fit for me. And I really just fell in love with project-based learning before I even came here. So when I applied to iLead Agua Dulce, that is what one of their main components was, and I was really able to take their curriculum and build projects around it, which is, I think, such a beautiful thing. And this is my first year at SCVI, but 4 years with iLead.
Okay, so you started at iLead Agua Dulce, very similar education model with the project-based learning. We'll talk about that in just a second. And we heard about it from the kids' perspective and how much they love you and the rest of your colleagues. But what about as a teacher? We call you facilitators, and it's funny. I hear people all the time. They say, "Oh, I know what you mean by that. That means that they don't have credentials and they're not really prepared." But you're, like you said, fully credentialed. We call you a facilitator not because of what you're not able to do, but because of what you are able to do, which is step aside, put the learning in the hands of the learners. You facilitate the learning. You don't stand at the front of the class. And well, I digress. But what do you, as an educator, find unique or special about working at SCVI and our other iLead schools?
I really do love having control over how we give the curriculum to the learners. Being able to create projects, being able to create hands-on experiences for the kids, and really giving them that real-world connection. Mm-hmm. I think it makes the learning stronger and imprints it differently in their brains, and it allows them to be able to utilize it in their future. I think anything where we can do cross-curricular, I mean, I teach multiple subjects in the middle school.
Okay.
We're able to go from one subject to the other seamlessly, but still on the same topic, and integrate within multiple subjects. So it's, instead of going to 6 classes in a day and getting like 35 minutes of information, you're able to actually spend time on the curriculum and really get into it. And then they're released and they're able to go like continue on with their learning when we're still there to support. So facilitating to me really means giving them the foundation and being there to like support them, but allowing them to really lead their own learning path.
There you go. What a beautiful way to explain it. So instead of getting math in isolation, English in isolation, history in isolation, you're talking about real-world, authentic topics and experiences like the one we're going to talk about today. And then you, as the facilitator, that expert educator, you're pulling in the content area that you know that they need to cover and learn, because we do still need to follow the state standards and cover all that stuff. Now, Solomon and Everett, I want to ask you about this project. You guys just completed what we call a legacy project at SCVI. A legacy project is one of those projects that, well, quite frankly, that we hit on that is just so cool that we can't not do it each year. And so then families and learners start to really look forward to it as they're coming up. And I'm sure you guys that have been with us for a while, in 6th, 7th grade, you're kind of thinking, can't wait for the glider project. That's what we mean by a legacy project. So this one, as I mentioned, in particular involves glider planes. So Solomon, I want to ask you, can you tell us a little bit about the project? What is it that you and your classmates did? Just kind of maybe like you would if we're hanging out at the barbecue. What is the glider project? What is it that y'all did?
I mean, when you tell 8th graders that you're going to be flying in a plane, it's kind of like hard to get your head around that. But it was like it felt unreal that in a couple of months we were going to be flying in an airplane with one other person, but it was a lot of hard work. You had to really understand what you were doing. You had to understand how a glider works. It wasn't the regular plane. You know, you have to learn how to hit right things so you can stay in the air. You know, there's no engine.
Right.
Which is pretty crazy.
Uh-huh.
But, I mean, when we were up there, it just felt like a video game.
Oh, wow.
It just...
Wow,
no words.
It's interesting. And you mentioned, so you're in this glider. It's an airplane. It's a real airplane, but it has no engines. You know, and there's a friend of mine who used to fly some pretty cool airplanes a while back. Our Congressman Mike Garcia actually went out to the glider port and watched some of your classmates last year go up in the glider. And he kind of mentioned to me, he says, Matt, this is real flying, because when I was up in the fighter jets, you know, we had these amazing engines, and whenever I got into any trouble, you know, you just hit the afterburners and you can kind of take care of anything. But in a glider, you have to know and be able to handle all of the properties of aerodynamics, and because you don't have those engines to override gravity and wind force and all those different things. So what went into it, Solomon, beforehand? What did you have to learn before you were able to go up in this glider plane?
We had to learn, like, what different parts of the glider work for different things. So, like, if you want to slow down, you have to use rotor pedals. And I didn't know what that was. I thought you used to, like, you know, push a button. But just because there's no engine, you have to take a lot more work and a lot more thinking, or I don't know, explain it.
There's a lot going on. Everett, let's talk to you, because we were talking to Ms. Benedetti about all the learning that goes on, and that's her job, right? She offers these really cool experiences, but she needs to make sure the learning's coming in, because, you know, growing up, I always thought, you know, school is where you go to, you know, learn the state capitals and a bunch of irrelevant algorithms and stuff like that. Let's talk about what you learned during this project, because really cool that you're learning to fly, but what is it that you learned as you were going through this project, Everett?
Okay, so over the course of 7 weeks, we had 4 different units that we completed, and they all incorporated all 4 subjects that were intertwined, which I really liked, kind of like what you were mentioning. And we, for example, in science, we learned about the properties of aviation and the forces behind it. You know, you have a lift, drag, thrust, and weight, and how you have to kind of overcome that.
Wow.
And I believe also in science we were learning all about the controls and all the different, you know, interior parts. And in English, we wrote an essay on a historical part of aviation.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and then in math, we learned about slope and glide ratios with lines.
All right.
And in history, we had some assignments, and for example, one of my favorite ones, though it was difficult, was the timeline, where we had the Wright brothers as our midpoint, and we had to create events before and events after, and write that all out.
Wow, so it really is that full interdisciplinary experience. You're learning all of those rigorous 8th grade standards. I'm going to have to start taking you on tours with me, because you just in a nutshell explained exactly what project-based learning is and why it's such a powerful way to learn, because you're learning everything you need to learn, but I'm guessing this is through an experience that you'll never forget.
I mean, yeah, I don't think any other schools have this opportunity, because flying in a glide, I mean, that's crazy.
Now, I know that it's not required. You know, some folks are afraid of heights and things like that. But did you both actually fly the glider?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so I want to set this up for my listeners a little bit, because, you know, the first thing I thought because we started this project several years ago when I was director at SCVI, and as a school director, it's your job to make sure that activities are safe for the children. And so you have to go first. So yeah, I got to fly the glider too. It was really cool. But when I thought, okay, this airplane doesn't have an engine, so how do you even get up in the air? Solomon, can you explain kind of what happens, how you get from hopping into this big, what looks like a model airplane, but 2 people fit inside, to flying around up in the air. Can you explain the process?
Yeah, so the glider is connected by a rope to something called a tow plane, which is a regular plane that has an engine.
All right.
So they'll take us up about, I think we went 4,000 feet up in the air, and then let us go. And then it's pretty cool because I got to, there's a little knob that you pull, and you feel like a little shaking. It was pretty scary because I thought we were going straight down.
Oh, that knob that you pulled to disconnect from the tow plane. Yeah. All right.
And then it just goes quiet, super quiet. I don't know how to explain it, but then it's just like looking at a beautiful view. You can see miles away. The mountains is just incredible. And it took us about 20 minutes. Yeah, 20 minutes to get back down.
Okay.
But yeah, the tow plane takes us all the way up there and then lets us go.
Very cool. And so that tow plane takes you up. Now you're almost a mile high, Everett, and then click, you're disconnected. You got no engine. Are you up there by yourself and like ready to crash into the side of the mountain? You weren't by yourself, right?
No. There was a trained professional pilot behind us.
Okay.
And they would just take control for a little bit, start flying, make sure everything's clear, and that there's not other gliders in the area.
Okay.
And then at one point, they'll let you take control, and it was really fun. So you have a stick in the front, and they also have some in the back. And so when I was up there, I only took control for about a minute.
Oh, okay.
And we tried to fly between 2 different clouds, but we didn't because that was in kind of the way we didn't make it. But unfortunately, I didn't get to turn. But it was really, really fun. And then my pilot showed me what happens when you stall the plane because I kept putting the nose up a little bit. And so he showed me what happened when you stall the plane.
So,
and we started, sorry.
No. So I want you to explain this because you say stall the plane. I think stall is when the engine cuts out, but there's no engine. So what is it? What do you mean when a glider stalls?
Well, when you go up too much in a glider, then you fall back down, and you can't, no matter how much you pull up on the stick, you won't start going up. You'll just kind of spiral a little bit, and then you have to take control or recontrol it. So you kind of start into this free fall.
Yeah.
Solomon, did you pull into a stall? Did you start that process?
I did not.
Oh, that's so scary. Okay, all right, cool. But you got to fly a little bit and turn.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So Everett, you were able to pull out of the stall, or was that the pilot that did that?
No, that was the pilot.
All right.
Yeah.
Very cool. What an amazing experience. This is such a great project. I don't know of any other school where kids are learning to fly in 8th grade. Ally, I want to talk to you a little bit more when we get back. We've got 8th graders from SCVI Charter School, Solomon Press, and Everett Osterkamp, along with their facilitator, Ally Benedetti, joining me. Stick around. We'll hear more about it. I'm Matt Watson, and you're listening to SCVI and iLead School's Eye on the Valley on your hometown station, KHTS. Welcome back. You're listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 on the AM side. This is Matt Watson, and you're listening to SCVI and iLead School's Eye on the Valley. I've got 8th graders, 2 8th graders from SCVI Charter School, Solomon Press and Everett Osterkamp, and their facilitator, Ally Benedetti, joining me this morning, talking about learning to fly in school. So, Ally, talk to us about this glider project, how you set this up, and such an amazing experience that, as Everett was telling us, pulls in all the different subject areas that they need to be learning. So, was this your first time facilitating the glider project?
No, 2 years ago, right when we returned back to school from COVID, we had our first glider project over at Agua Dulce, and I helped run that, but on the humanities side. And I can just say that this is so much better being on the science side. It's so much more fun. But it's also really nice that I can be with the kids all the time because we were still in cohorts. So it was very compartmentalized. So we still integrated the other subjects, but it just still felt very segmented. Like this one was so much better because it's just very flowy and you just go from one to the other portion and it all kind of fits in. Mm-hmm. So you're learning about the history before they're learning about why it works now and how it's changed. So everything really moves with it. And I just love that.
Very cool. And so we've been doing the glider project and offering our 8th graders this experience for Actually, gosh, it's probably been 7, 8, maybe 9 years now. But I understand that you and the leadership at SCVI have some bigger plans in mind for this project. Can you talk about that?
So the interest in this project, and we have an aerospace sort of project already going on in 5th grade because we do the Dream Up project there. So that's really where it will start. And we want to create an aerospace pathway through the high school.
Okay.
So we'll have Dream Up in 5th. We're going to have rocketry in 6th. We're going to work with drones in 7th. We're going to continue the glider project for 8th. And then we're going to have a pilot school in the high school so that they can actually get all their ground training right there. And I think it's so fabulous to continue this on and really create that science pathway for the learners that really dig it.
Yeah, and you talked about Dream Up. That's Dream Up to Space. That's the project we've talked about a lot here on the radio, where kids are actually designing experiments to be conducted on the space station. And so you've got all these different experiences, and you're opening up a pathway, a career pathway for kids in, dozens of different careers in the aerospace industry, and just preparing them starting as early as 5th grade. That's amazing. And then they can get their pilot's license and go all the way through that before they ever finish high school.
Yep.
What an incredible experience. This is just amazing. And you guys are flying in 8th grade and getting this tremendous experience. This isn't the only project that y'all have engaged in at SCVI. Solomon, what have been some of the other projects that you've enjoyed while you've been with us at SCVI?
Well, I think probably my favorite, tied with this one, is the Dream Up project.
Oh, okay.
Where I got to go to Florida with my team and saw our project go to the IRS.
The ISS?
ISS.
So that's the International Space Station. So I wasn't lying. You designed an experiment.
Yeah.
You went out to Florida, watched your homework launch up into space, where NASA scientists conducted it on the space station.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, that is kind of amazing. Again, don't know of any other school that's doing stuff like this. What about you, Everett? What are some of the other projects you've enjoyed?
Well, in 7th grade, we had another aviation-based project where we had to connect flight with birds. And that I really enjoyed that project. And I also enjoyed, in 4th grade, I think, we had a Gold Rush project. And that was really fun, too.
Oh, cool. Fantastic. And again, those rigorous projects. But, I remember growing up in school. You learn something, you take the test, you forget it, move on. But, Ally, again, the idea behind project-based learning is developing these amazing, unforgettable experiences that then we attach the learning onto. And then the learning becomes permanent, it becomes relevant, and it becomes so much deeper. What about any other projects? And this is for the three of you. What projects have you got coming up? Do you guys even know of projects that are coming up? What are you looking forward to?
Well, I've heard that the next project we're doing is the, what was it called? I forgot.
I haven't told them yet.
Oh, okay.
But I'll give you a snippet.
Okay.
So it is a passion project. So they are going to be creating their own driving question.
All right.
With the focus of how can we use our passion to guide our learning for our future. So they're going to be looking at where they want to be in 5 years, where do they want to be in 10 years, how can they use their passion to drive their learning, because it really is up to them to get there. And if we use our passion, then we're going to love what we do. Wow.
You're absolutely right. And that is the ultimate of kind of academic relevance, if you will. It's talking about what it is that I love, what I want to do, and how can I get there. And again, facilitating, putting the education right in the hands of the learners. So, Ally, I also understand that recently, and one of you gentlemen joined you took some learners out to Washington, D.C. That was kind of cool. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, we took a 5-day trip out to D.C. over spring break. It was really like 6 for us because our flight was overnight the day before, and then you get off the plane and you go. We saw so many wonderful things, and it was really an amazing opportunity to get to know the kids at a human level and see how they reacted to the monuments and these beautiful places that we got to see that we just don't have on the West Coast.
Yeah.
Because the history is there. The foundation of our country is there. And the Capitol is supposed to represent us as a people. So they had a task that they were supposed to do. And that was to look how the Capitol represents the diversity of the nation. And does it properly represent that? And so they're going to be showcasing their learning to their classmates next week.
Okay. So Solomon, I know you went to D.C. So what do you think? Does our nation's capital properly represent the diversity of our nation?
I think that yes.
All right.
Because one of the things that stood out to me on the Capitol was at the very top of the Capitol, there was this, was it the...
Liberty? Freedom?
Yeah.
The statue.
The statue really stood out to me. I don't know why, but when we went into the Capitol, we saw the statue really up close. And I think they really tried to get the different types of culture, the different types of cultures into the statue the best they could. And I think that they could do a little bit more, but I think they are really trying to include everyone and be really appreciative of all the cultures and stuff.
Fantastic. That's good to hear. So, all right, I just kind of want to reset. I'm thinking somebody maybe just tuned in. We've got Solomon and Everett here. They're in 8th grade at SCVI and just wrapped up this, what we call the glider project in Ally Benedetti's class, where they actually learned the principles of flight, the real principles of flight, because they actually flew an airplane that has no engine, had to learn about, some of these really profound single-syllable words like pitch and yaw and roll and all that stuff, because when you're up there in the glider, you don't want to roll right out of the sky and crash and burn, right? So an amazing experience. You both learned these basic principles of flight. You got to fly about a mile high in this glider. Is this something that you think you might be interested in the future, or have you considered what your plans are for the future?
I'll go first.
All right.
I think this was a really good opportunity for all of us. Like, in middle school, we got to learn about flight and actually be able to fly. Personally, I loved it. I don't know if I would necessarily want to be a pilot when I'm older, but it did, in the future, you never know. But I think it was really incredible for an opportunity for us. And who knows what happens in the future. But I think it was really incredible.
I think that's a great point. What about you, Everett? Do you think this is something that you might take into your future?
Well, it was a really amazing project, and I really enjoyed it. Miss B said that you're hosting a family barbecue up back into Tehachapi, right?
Yeah, we're going to try to host one.
So I'm thinking I definitely want to go to that. It's a really fun thing, but I agree with Solomon. I don't think it would be a career path, but it's always an option.
Okay, Ally, what is this barbecue, and what does it have to do with flying gliders?
So a lot of the families were so interested in it that a lot of the parents started going, man, I really want to do that. That looks so cool.
The parents want to fly.
Kathleen and I were talking, and so in May, when it's a little bit warmer, we're going to try to set up a weekend where we can have a barbecue and just like a picnic where the parents get to fly and the kids get to see them have that opportunity as well. Because the Skylark North, it's a beautiful little airport. It has beautiful picnic areas. It's just a great place to be.
Yeah, Skylark North in Tehachapi is our partners, and they develop the opportunity for our kids to engage in such an amazing project. Now, Solomon and Everett obviously got quite a bit out of this project. Did you see the same in your other learners, Ally?
I did. It was amazing to see some of the learners that haven't quite engaged as much during this school year really actually get involved in the project.
Yeah.
They had to reach a certain level in order to be able to fly, so that gave them motivation in order to fulfill the obligations of the academic side of it. And I think that was a really great motivator. And just having that experience, I had a couple of kids that were like, no, I'm not going up there. And then they did. And they took control, and it was just this beautiful thing to see it afterwards. And I flew for the first time this year, too.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
I love that. Congratulations. Wow, so cool. Ally, Solomon, Everett, I want to thank you so much for joining us this morning. Gosh, what rich, relevant, rigorous, what other R's can we come up with, experience that you're developing for our kids at SCVI. For more information about SCVI, a free public charter school right here in Santa Clarita, go to iLeadSantaClarita.org. That's iLeadSantaClarita.org. Or, you know what? Why don't you just Google SCVI? That's Santa Clarita Valley International, SCVI, to enroll your students. We've got TK through 12th grade and every one of our grades in the area of aerospace and tons of other areas are developing some of these rich and exciting projects for your kids to engage in. Again, that's iLeadSantaClarita.org or just Google SCVI. Again, thank you for joining us. Y'all have a wonderful weekend. I am Matt Watson. You're listening to SCVI and iLead Schools Eye on the Valley. We'll be right back on your hometown station, KHTS. Welcome back. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is Matt Watson, your host, and you are listening to SCVI and iLead Schools Eye on the Valley. Gosh, I'm still super excited about chatting with Solomon and Everett, 8th graders out at SCVI, talking about how their facilitator, Ally Benedetti, just brought all of their subject matter together, all of their relevant 8th grade subject matter, and built it into a glider project where they actually learned the principles of flight, got to fly a glider, which is an airplane that has no engine. Such an amazing experience for the kids and learning that they'll never forget, certainly. But I'm really excited about our next guest. I'm joined now by Lisa Hooper. Lisa is the head coach of the women's volleyball team at College of the Canyons. She's also the vice president of the Academic Senate and a professor of kinesiology, health, and physical education out at COC. Lisa is a 5-time WSC Coach of the Year and has acted as an executive board member for the California Community College Women's Volleyball Coaches Association. And your kids, yes, your kids, can take advantage of an amazing experience and her expertise that she's bringing to COC's volleyball camp this year. Lisa, welcome to Eye on the Valley.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Oh, it's an honor to have you. We're glad to have you here joining us. So let's jump right into it. Can you tell us, because when I think COC, I think of, adults from 18 to 88, learning all the rich and relevant things that they need to develop themselves as a professional and a person at COC. But you're working with younger ones. Can you tell us about the 2023 COC Summer Volleyball Camp?
Well, sure. So, yes, we do. We serve the younger kids, and we do try to create opportunities for the youth in our valley whenever we can at the college. This particular opportunity is for boys and girls aged 8 to 14. We like to start our young athletes off with an early exposure to our sport. Volleyball recently overtook girls basketball as the most popular sport for girls in high school. And I think that is in part because of our opportunities that we create for the youngsters. So this is open to all girls and boys who might be interested in trying to learn a little bit about our game. We do try to group the athletes based on their experience. So sometimes we have players who have some exposure. Most of the time we have players who have little to no exposure. So we try to group them as best we can by age level and by skill level. And then we teach them the fundamental skills of our sport. For those that have a little bit of experience, we do go into tactics and strategy, talking a little bit about offense and defense. We also maybe layer on some of the more advanced skills like jump serving and quick attacking. But this is just a really fun opportunity for 18 to 14-year-old boys and girls to be exposed to our sport in a warm and fun-loving environment. We try to have a lot of fun.
Fantastic. And so you mentioned it's a camp that's for beginners or more experienced players. Kids from any experience level are going to get the coaching that they need. Is that what you're saying? Exactly.
So we try to limit the camp to about 45 campers per session.
Oh, okay.
That allows us to create really good ratios between our coaches, which are not just our college coaches, but also our college athletes. This is an opportunity for them to get the experience helping to instruct the very earliest skill development of volleyball players. And so they're coached as young coaches in the skills of coaching, and then they are able to impart that onto the athletes. And this is a great opportunity for them to recognize where a player's skill set lies and then help them to grow from there. So if they're brand new and they don't even know how to clasp their hands to create a passing platform, that's one athlete that they'll learn to work with. And then when we move over to the more advanced court, they might be working with, not that rudimentary a technique, but how then maybe to track a ball. And so it's really been a great opportunity, not just for the campers, but for our college athletes to learn what it's like to be on the other side of the game. So this is just a really great opportunity, I think, for everybody who's involved. I derive a lot of joy from helping the youngsters to fall in love with our sport. So truly anybody who's interested that falls into that age group should consider joining us.
Oh, that is fantastic. So you've already touched on a bit of it, but can you go into a little bit more detail about what makes the COC volleyball camp so unique? Because there are other volleyball camps out there and things like that. This isn't the only place for kids to learn to play volleyball, but y'all have developed something that's really unique. Could you explain a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I think we have. So certainly the universities offer volleyball camp opportunities, and they're wonderful. They're fantastic. Similar format to ours. They tend to be considerably more expensive, and the time commitment can sometimes be greater. We've settled on this 3-hour, 4-day format, and it seems to hit a sweet spot. So we've learned that this is about the number of hours that our young athletes can learn and develop and grow without exhausting them either physically or mentally. And it creates an environment where they're excited to come back each day, right? They're not too fatigued. They want to come back each day. And we have changed the topics each day so that there's something new and exciting each session. We also do a little bit of just physical training towards the end. We teach them how to hone their fitness and their motor skills, and those things transfer into all of their sports. So sometimes we have athletes who've grown up playing other sports. They love those other sports. They just want to dabble in something different. And so we're able to create some opportunities for them to bridge what they learn in our camp to the other sports and athletic endeavors that they pursue. I think it is just a really good, affordable, low, stakes option for kids who want to dabble in volleyball. And then for those who have some volleyball experience, it's reps. Mm-hmm. It's incredibly inexpensive, really fun opportunity to get tons and tons of reps. And as we all know, the more opportunities you have to use your skills, the further they refine and the better they develop.
Yeah, absolutely. Lisa, let me ask you this, because when I was growing up, there were seasons of different sports for a reason. At least that's the way it felt for me, right? And I would play basketball in basketball season and baseball in baseball season, and kids would play multiple sports. It seems like nowadays there are a lot of kids that really kind of specialize, and if they're a baseball player, they're going to play baseball year-round, and if they're a volleyball player, they'll play volleyball year-round. Sounds like you've got space for both of those kind of kids, though, those that are the year-round specialists, and then those that are looking to kind of expand their experience. Do you see it valuable for kids who are maybe, excellent basketball players to build in some experience in another sport?
Oh my goodness! So, first of all, it sounds like you and I had similar experiences growing up. It was rare to find somebody who focused on one sport very early in their development. So I'm with you. Moreover, having now been in this field for 30 years, I still think there's such value in playing multiple sports. I find that many of the athletes that have really thrived at the community college level in volleyball started off playing something else and found their way to volleyball a little bit later in their athletic careers. So to that end, I think that there's tremendous value. I recognize and appreciate the importance of definitely at point that might be earlier than you or I experienced specializing today. The level of athlete that graduates from high school today is far superior on average than the level of athlete that we would graduate, when we were graduating from high school. So I think that because we're tailoring this particular camp to the 8 to 14-year-olds, we're trying to get you before you're going to high school. And although, certainly there are some 14-year-olds that would have already maybe had a freshman year, we're trying to get the youngest that is really safe to train volleyball players because volleyball being an overhead sport, we try to reduce the wear and tear on the shoulder. Right. And so if we go much below 8, we just worry that there might be some fatigue and we don't want to strain the shoulder joint. We have had particularly athletic youth that were younger than 8. Their parents have reached out and said, hey, look, you know what, we trust that they're fit enough to be able to handle this. And, of course, with the agreement of the parent, we would welcome younger athletes. But that sweet spot of 8 to 14 sort of allows those athletes that are still finding the thing that maybe they're best at and the thing that they derive the most joy from participating in. So definitely the kid who's already specialized in another sport shouldn't discount considering our camp because, like I said, I think that we offer something unique, certainly enjoyable, great opportunity to develop their athleticism and hopefully transfer some of what they learn in our camp to their other sport.
Yeah, so important. So tell us when and where this year's camp is.
So our sessions are in July, so late July. Our first session is July 18th through the 21st. We go 9 to noon each day. That first session is a Tuesday through Friday session. And then the second session is a Monday through Thursday session. So the following week, July 24th through the 27th, again, same time slot, 9 to noon. And we offer the two different formats, one Monday through Thursday and the other Tuesday through Friday, simply because we found over the years that some parents like to start maybe vacations on Friday and others like to extend their vacations through Monday. So hopefully we meet, a variety of family needs by that format. And then if athletes are interested in registering,
yes, please.
Certainly they can find information at cocathletics.com. We do have a camps and clinics button on that page, and they can find information about the camp there. Early bird registration is now through June 14th, and so the price for the camp is $175. At midnight on the 14th, it moves up to $200. And so in the past, pre-pandemic, we would usually sell out really early. Yeah. And I encourage families that are interested to take advantage of that early bird discount. And then if we have any groups of larger groups, 6 or more, we can work with those organizations to extend that discount if they miss the deadline.
Oh, cool. So we can register as a team or maybe just a group of friends that want to do this together and get a little bit of a discount as well?
Exactly. So because volleyball is such a community-based endeavor, so much talking and collaboration is necessary to be successful. We try to, convey that in the way that we conduct our sessions, and we try to infuse that even in the registration process. Bring your friends, come as a group, and then that will hopefully make all of you enjoy our sport such that you continue to play together for many years.
Wow. And again, so each session is 4 days, 3 hours a day. So you're getting 12 full hours of incredibly high level volleyball training. Again, session 1 is July 18th through the 21st. Session 2 is July 24th through the 27th, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. And Lisa, you said cocathletics.com and then click on camps and clinics?
That's correct. And my contact information is on our site as well. So if anyone has any questions, they are more than welcome to email me. I'm on my email most days and will respond as quickly as I can. But honestly, this is one of the more fun and easy ways to expose yourself to a new sport. Volleyball players know the value, but for those who've never tried volleyball, this is the place to try it.
Fantastic. Again, so COC's Summer Volleyball Camp for kids 8 to 14. Just head on over to cocathletics.com, click on camps and clinics, and Lisa and her team will take your kid from wherever they're at, brand new to the sport, beginner, or already an expert, and really up their game and help them develop their skill in volleyball that transcends to all different sports. Lisa, thank you so much for joining us today. Go Cougars. Y'all stick around. We got great food and great fun coming right up. I'm Matt Watson, and you're listening to SCVI and iLead Schools Eye on the Valley on your hometown station, KHTS. Welcome back. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is Matt Watson, your host, and you are listening to SCVI and iLead Schools Eye on the Valley. We are coming to you live from the center of Main Street where they're setting up for the Cowboy Festival right now. There's all kinds of action going on out there. There's going to be an amazing hoedown down here this weekend in Newhall, so you may want to get down here to enjoy it. We've had an amazing program so far this morning. Spoke earlier today to Ally Benedetti and two of her 8th grade learners at SCVI, Solomon and Everett, and talked about their glider project. These kids are learning all the principles of flight and actually flying an airplane that has no engine. So yeah, you better learn all the principles of flight if you're going to be a mile up without an engine, and building all of their academic content into this incredibly relevant and engaging project for their kids at SCVI. Again, if you're interested in enrolling your kids at SCVI, go to iLeadSantaClarita.org or just Google us at SCVI, or you can go to iLeadSchools.org. We've got 6 different schools for you to choose from. So yeah, check us out at iLeadSchools.org. We also talked to Lisa Hooper from COC. She's the women's volleyball coach, and she's got a volleyball camp for kids 8 to 14 out at COC this summer. So check them out at cocathletics.com for more information about their volleyball camp. But, I always get excited when I see my next guest. He's always got some amazing things, he and his staff, in store for me. My next guest is Greg Amsler. He was born and raised in the Midwest and graduated from the University of Ohio. And after they actually both graduated from U of I, Greg married his high school sweetheart, Shell. Greg and Shell own Salt Creek Grill at the heart of Town Center, right there on Town Center Drive, but they are so much more than restaurateurs. Greg learned from his parents' example the responsibility and rewards of giving back, and so I want to talk about both of those things. Greg has served on the board of directors for the Henry Mayo Newhall Foundation, the SCV Boys and Girls Club Foundation, the Michael Hofflin Foundation, and the SCV Child and Family Center. And Salt Creek's Breakfast with Santa. I mean, you can't beat Breakfast with Santa, right? That program has helped give a good Christmas to families in need all across the valley. So, like I said, as you can see, Greg's doing much more than serving amazing meals at Salt Creek. He is giving back to the community. It's no wonder that he was named Santa Clarita's Man of the Year in 2009. Greg, welcome back to Eye on the Valley. Glad to have you.
Well, thanks for having me, Matt. But one little correction and retraction. It's University of Iowa, not Ohio. I just want to get my Hawkeye brethren okay there.
Thank you. I do have Iowa here, and I don't know why Ohio rolls off the tongue. Yeah, U of I, University of Iowa, right there in the middle, right? So
you betcha.
Thanks for the correction. I appreciate it. So, Greg, tell me the story of Salt Creek, because I know when I'm on your website, I always need to choose Valencia because there's 4 locations. Are they all yours? Are they all affiliated? Tell us about Salt Creek and tell us about your journey with Salt Creek.
Well, it started, the 2 founders were Tim McCune and Pete Truxaw. Pete, well, they're both really good friends of mine. Before I got back into the restaurant business, we all lived in Orange County. In fact, those 2 worked for Islands Restaurants. Oh. And Pete and I always talked about doing something on our own. Fast forward, Pete became Shell and our brother-in-law. Oh. And he and Tim started the first Salt Creek down in Dana Point, named after the Salt Creek Beach, which if you're a surfer, you know where that is. Shell and I were back in Omaha at the time. I was working for Johnson & Johnson in medical sales, and they transferred me back to Omaha. Did that for about 5 years. when Pete and Tim opened the first one after the first year in '88, they asked us to come back out and join them. We ended up opening 4 of them. We have closed one since, down in El Segundo. That was kind of a tragedy of COVID. The landlord decided not to keep a restaurant there and wanted to go a different way once the lease was up. So there are still there's 4 of us. There was 5. There's 4 now. Excuse me. In just past 9/11, we were looking at funding to open more outside of California. It was tough to raise money at that point, post 9/11. So, and I didn't really want to be traveling to different areas. Family was young. I wanted to stay here in Santa Clarita. So Shell and I bought out Tim and Pete of this particular restaurant, but we still are part of the Salt Creek family. So long story short is we only have ownership in the Valencia store, but we're still part of the overall kind of family of Salt Creek, if that makes any sense.
It does make sense. It sounds like it's a rich collaboration, but you've got full autonomy of your restaurant here at the center of town. And let me just say, Greg, it's our benefit here in the community that you decided to stay here and not leave the state, because you do so much, not only to feed us all, but you give so much back to the community. I want to talk about that in just a little bit. You mentioned that this has been a partnership between you and your wife, Shell. She plays, I know, an integral role, although she does so kind of quietly, right? She kind of stays in the background a little bit, but plays an important role. What is Shell's role in the restaurant?
Well, she does all the behind-the-scenes stuff. She does. She's our bookkeeper. She handles insurance, billing, any of that kind of stuff that frees me up. I do the operations side.
All right.
It's turned out very, very well for both of us. Shell works out of our home. We converted one of our bedrooms into an office. And she was able to stay here and still be able to go and do a lot of school stuff with the kids, do a lot of community stuff. And it's worked out really well. She's a very underappreciated, as far, not from me, but from I should probably say unknown quality to the restaurant, that a lot of people really don't know her as much as they should, because she does a heck of a lot and a great job for us.
And she's an amazing person as well.
Yes, she is.
So you mentioned that actually one of the other Salt Creek locations was a casualty of the pandemic. I know you actually came on the show a couple of times as we were like mid-pandemic, don't you dare let anybody set foot inside your restaurant kind of time. Yeah. And I know that was a challenge for you, but you were also one of those folks that did an amazing job to pivot, to be able to serve your customers, to be able to take care of your staff, which I know was a struggle. Can you tell me a little bit about the story of the pandemic as it refers to Salt Creek Grill here in town?
Well, it was an incredible learning experience. It was kind of a restaurant MBA real life class. We had to pivot immediately. I'll never forget. Shell and I were at a wedding in Houston that weekend before the shutdown. So it was the March 14th, 15th, 16th, something like that.
Right.
And we flew back, and it was the first time we saw anybody wearing masks. And we flew back and drove right to the restaurant from LAX. And everybody was walking around on eggshells, wondering if we were going to close. The customers were asking if we're going to be able to stay open, and nobody had any clue or any idea. And we were trying to find, number one, okay, what supplies can we still get? What food is still going to be available? What are our vendors even going to be open? Am I going to be able to get steaks and seafood and produce and what have you? Mm-hmm. How much of the staff even wants to come to work? We had no idea how dangerous, how susceptible, infectious everybody was going to be. And 2 days later, I think it was either the 16th or 17th, because it was right around St. Patrick's Day, was when the word came down. And we had already bought all of our corned beef and cabbage, and was already prepping all that for a very large St. Patrick's Day day of business. And all of a sudden, we're closed. And we weren't told if we could do any takeout. We couldn't do anything for the first, I think it was day or two. Then they allowed us to do takeout. The problem we had is we don't do a lot of takeout. So our containers for takeout, we didn't have them. We had leftover containers. They weren't really good for transporting food and keeping it either hot or cold. So we had to immediately find some vendors and source some products that we had to use because of that. Then we had to go to all the vendors and find out, okay, what do you have? What fish do you have? What steaks are available? Because nobody was delivering. There weren't any cars, trucks, any type of delivery services because nobody knew what was going on. So we, in about a matter of 3 days, and my staff was fantastic with coming up with all the ideas of what we did during COVID, is we decided to minimize our menu to what we can still provide, and then also where can we shift to, and that kind of became our daily family meals, which I know you partook in, and we would have a different special every day, either a dinner for two or a dinner for four, and that would normally include appetizer or salad, an entree, and a dessert. And you could do it for either 2 or 4 people, and those became really, really popular. And it was kind of more mama's type of home cooking. We did meatloaf and fried chicken along with some of our, steaks and potatoes and that kind of thing, things that would travel pretty well. And it was a heck of a success for us, and it was also a great learning experience of how to pivot kind of in mid-stride and say, okay, we can't do this anymore, but we got to do something. And it wasn't, nobody did well during the pandemic, but we were able to keep people busy, keep people employed, put some money in some people's pockets, and just try to survive.
Yeah, I remember talking to you back then, Greg, and that was kind of at the forefront of your thought. Of course, as a business owner, you want to be able to stay up and running and stay viable. But the first thing on your mind and the first thing out of your mouth every time we spoke with you is, I got to make sure that I can keep my employees on and keep them paid and keep their benefits going. That was kind of number one on your priority, wasn't it?
Yeah, we're very fortunate. We opened 99, and I think I still have upwards of 20 employees that have been with us for virtually the 24 years, if not 20, 21, 22, and that's pretty unheard of in the restaurant business. There's a lot of turnover in this industry, and I know it's cliche, but we've become family. We've all grown up together, and our kids have grown up together, and our kids have grown up with their kids, and it was good to be able to see about 90% of our pre-COVID staff or pre-pandemic staff come back.
Yeah, that's great that you were able to do that. Not only save your business, but take care of your staff during that time. Such an amazing heart. So now, the pandemic was devastating to a lot of businesses, but it also taught us a lot of stuff. Was there any way that the pandemic changed how you're currently doing things now?
A little bit. We're trying to go back to the normalcy that we had. Obviously, everybody is hyper aware of cleanliness now, and as far as sanitizing. So that's kind of different. The deliveries are a little bit different. A lot of the large companies still do kind of more of a limited delivery. We used to get some of our products delivered every day, and now it's down to maybe 2 or 3 times a week. Okay. So it's a little bit of a juggling that way, but we're trying to. You never want to forget about something as tragic as the pandemic, but you want to be able to not constantly have that right at the forefront. And when you come into the restaurant, and you want to be able to just relax and not have to worry about anything.
You're absolutely right. And when I do come in, it's nice to be able to slump down in a booth and just say, yeah, we are back. You mentioned those to-go specials. When your restaurant was forced to shut down, you put together those to-go specials, world-class entrees for 2 or for 4. It was great. I enjoyed a couple of date nights. I enjoyed a couple of dinners with the family to go, and you also were able to add in some of those famous specialty cocktails that the Salt Creek Bar is known for. The state actually started allowing the sale of cocktails to go. So have you seen continued popularity now in pickup? You mentioned before the pandemic it wasn't something that you guys really did very often. Is that something that's continued? And then are you still allowed to sell cocktails to go?
Yes, we still are. I thought that was a great idea that the state had because they didn't see much of a jump in any of the problems that you would get or you would think you would get by offering something like that. And it was another way of just keeping things rolling, keeping things busy, especially kind of immediately after we opened up. A lot of people were still a little nervous about going out in front of other people, large crowds at big restaurants, and we were still able to you can get a glass of wine or a cocktail to take home with you, one of our craft cocktails. You could take that home with dinner and still be able to enjoy Salt Creek if you were still a little nervous about coming in. That has started to fade away a little bit. Our numbers as far as takeout are definitely not what they were during the pandemic, but they're definitely higher than they were pre-pandemic. So, which is good. I think it reminds people that you can get good meals to take home, and you don't have to rely on just quick fast food or a pizza or a sub or something like that every time that you don't have time to cook.
Yeah, and it is a great option, right? And that's just something that the necessity reminded us of the option, and it's great that we can still get some of those amazing meals and cocktails from Salt Creek to go, right? Because it can be nice to take one of those world-class meals home and light a couple of candles and have a romantic Friday evening. Now, remember, friends, please drink responsibly, only if you're 21. The opinions of Frogger are only those of Frogger and not those of iLead Schools or KHTS. Anyways, Greg, what about us? Did the pandemic change us as customers? You said that folks are enjoying getting back into the restaurant, enjoying things the way they used to be, but did we change our habits in things that maybe I wouldn't expect? I don't know. Are folks tipping more, tipping less? Are we ordering more? Did it change us, or are we back? Are we fully back?
No, I think it definitely changed us, and I think most of it is positive. Number one, as you mentioned, I think tipping is up. I think people appreciated the staff out there working hard during a very difficult time. A lot of people were at home watching TV and just kind of waiting for the pandemic to end, but there were some of us that were still out there working every day, and people showed their appreciation in their gratuities. Also, I think people, I'm trying to think of the best word for that, have become a little more tolerant of when things may go slightly wrong, whether it's a undercooked steak or whatever it may be at a restaurant. I think it made people kind of take a step back and look at the overall picture and say, you know what, that's okay, that's fine. It was a small mistake. Let's just relax and enjoy ourselves. If you just bring the steak up to medium instead of medium rare, that would be great. And it wasn't as critical. And I think it's allowed people to kind of relax a little bit and realize how good some of us have it here.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And Greg, I don't want you and the staff to worry. When I'm in, the steak can never be too undercooked. Talking Perfect. This morning to Greg Amsler. He is the purveyor of Salt Creek Grill, the finest in dining here in the Valley for the most reasonable prices, and all of it is right at the center of town. More with Greg when we get back. I'm Matt Watson, and you're listening to SCVI and iLead Schools Eye in the Valley on your hometown station, KHTS. Welcome back. You're listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is SCVI and iLead Schools Eye on the Valley. I am your host, Matt Watson. And I'm joined this morning by Greg Amsler, owner of Salt Creek Grill, right at the center of town on Town Center Drive. Greg and I were chatting off the air, and sorry I had to interrupt you there, having some great conversation before we came back, Greg. So we were talking about some of the amazing dishes that y'all serve. Greg, if you had to pick one, what's your favorite dish there at Salt Creek?
Well, mine is probably... there's about 4 or 5 entrees that we've had since day one in 1999, And I think the best thing on our menu is our double-cut, double-thick pork chop. Oh. And it's a mesquite grilled product. It's also a brined product, and what that allows us to do is you don't have to cook it all the way through, kind of like Grandma's old dried-out pork chops that we all used to have when we were little kids. They got so dry they'd start curling up on the edges. This is a nice bone-in product that we can serve at a medium to medium well, so it's slightly pink in the middle. That way, it's still very juicy. And a little secret. I've been telling some of my friends that ask the same thing, what should I get, what's your favorite? I tell them the pork chop, but I said if you're in the mood for something spicy, get our pork chop, but get it blackened.
Oh.
Cajun spices. And it comes with an apple chutney, so you get kind of a sweet and savory type of combination on there. But, you know, I can't say anything but the pork chop. I know our filet is by far our number one seller, and that's good because we are a steakhouse. But I tell you what, the pork chop, and then number two would probably be the barbecue ribs.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I've had all three of those. They're all amazing. You're absolutely right about the pork chop. It is so easy to go to even some of the best restaurants and get a salted hockey puck for a pork chop, but yours are moist and tender and just phenomenal. You know, I'm looking at some of your appetizers. The mesquite grilled artichoke is amazing, and here's what I like to do. Typically, I will get your steak and leave about half of it, which is not like me, but I'm leaving room for that carrot cake. Your carrot cake is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah. Also, the good thing to do whenever you have, whether it's our pork chop or the filet, even the ribs a little bit, but especially with the pork chop because we've done that. It's a pretty large serving. So whatever you have left over, take it home. The next morning, scramble some eggs, throw in some peppers and some mushrooms, and add a little bit of the diced pork chop into that, and kind of cook it up like an omelet. And it's pretty darn good.
Dude, you're making me so hungry. And you're absolutely right about the portions. Y'all are serving Midwestern portions. Definitely. Now, Greg, I've been reading a little bit. You know, I try to keep my finger on what's going on in and around town, and I do get a little nervous about things over there at the mall for you and some of your neighbors. Been reading about Westfield. They've been having a little bit of trouble lately, and I heard that they may be on the market. They're selling. Is this affecting the restaurant at all, or is this something that you guys are just business as usual, and whatever Westfield does, they do?
It's pretty much business as usual. We're, I guess, as far as this situation is concerned, we're not attached to the mall. As you know, we're 3 or 4 blocks down.
Right.
So it's not. If the mall closes for refurbishing or anything, that won't affect us. So that helps that way, not having to worry about that. I believe it's up for sale. I've heard that there are some very close negotiations, I guess. And I know that they have sold a number of their malls throughout the United States already, and they announced that they wanted to divest from the United States completely. We're pretty much business as usual. We have a great relationship with them, and I have the utmost confidence that whoever ends up buying it, if that's what ends up happening, I think through the city and through Westfield, it'll be. I don't think you'll see a whole lot of changes.
Okay.
At least not from our end.
That's good to hear. That is good to hear. Y'all aren't going anywhere anytime soon, and we can continue to count on you. That is fantastic. Now, Greg, I mentioned as you were coming in a lot of the stuff that you do in and around town, and I have to say one of the things that I love most about you, Greg, I mean, don't get me wrong, you're a handsome man, and your bone-in ribeye and cucumber martini, incredible. But what I love most about you is the way you continue to invest back into the community. You're always giving back. Can you explain to us why that's so important to you? Because, I mean, you do good business there at Salt Creek, and the easiest thing to do would be to go home and you and your wife, Shell, just kick back and enjoy your weekends. But you're constantly working and giving back to the community. Why is that so important to you?
Well, I guess you just fall back on the way you were raised. My parents were both involved in charities and dragged us along when they would be doing events. And I remember building a dunking tank, if you remember the old dunk tanks.
I've been a victim of a dunk tank,
a target, and if you hit it, the guy would fall into a big tank of water. I remember building one of those with my dad back when I was, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, something like that, and then being able to go and help him run it at the event. And it's just, we're all very fortunate, and we all know people that are less fortunate. People have health problems or financial problems or whatever, and people need help. People need a hand up sometimes, and I kind of look at it selfishly. Some of the things I do, it makes me feel real good when I can make somebody smile and I can help somebody out, and you get greedy for that feeling, and you just want to keep it going. So it may be a little selfish that if it makes me feel good, I'm going to keep doing it.
Well, that is cool, and that kind of speaks to your heart for others and for the community. I know you'll often host fundraisers and other events right there at the restaurant, but you also go out to folks' locations. What are some of the ways that Salt Creek has given back over the years?
Well, and I think you mentioned this earlier, one of the favorite things I do with a partner, Ethan Dettenmeyer. He's in the entertainment business. I obviously am in the restaurant business, and it's our Breakfast with Santa we do every December. And Ethan approached me, I think we've been doing this 12 or 13 years now. So he approached me 13 years ago and said, I'm looking for a venue. Would you be interested in it? And I said, okay, what do you want to do? And he goes to homeless shelters. He goes to family shelters, abused women's shelters, and gets families with kids that really are probably not going to have a Christmas. And we bring them to the restaurant. Our staff donates their time. Our vendors donate the food. And we have Santa Claus come in on a ladder fire truck, and we have a lot of the Star Wars characters, Disney princesses, face painters, singers, some action figures there. Chewbacca and Transformers are there. They're 8 feet tall, walking and having to duck under and to get into the door. R2-D2 and C-3PO are there. And for a lot of these kids, it is. They're living in cars. They're living under overpasses. And to see the joy in their faces when a Disney princess comes by, Cinderella comes by, or Captain Jack Sparrow comes by and sits with them at the table, and they all get food. They all get to sit on Santa's lap, and they all receive 2 presents that we get from some very gracious donors every year, and it's quite an event. It's something we start looking forward to, even kind of start planning at late summer and trying to get everything going. So that's probably the number one thing I enjoy doing. And Ethan and his family, it was actually his daughter, Sean, it was her idea when she kind of just realized that there's a lot of kids. And she was, I think, 9 or 10 years old when she came up with this idea. And she realized there was a lot of kids that weren't getting any presents. What'd you get for Christmas? Well, I didn't get anything. And she kind of asked why and what can we do about that. And here we are 13 years later, and we're able to provide that. So it makes you feel really, really good when you see it. Also brings a little bit of a tear to your eye when you realize that some of these people, that's it. When they leave, that's going to be the last of their Christmas. And God bless them. We have people that will come up and leave $1, maybe leave 50 cents on the table for the servers as a tip, because it's all they can give, but they want to give something. And it's a great event. Let's put it that way.
God, I'm getting choked up here, Greg. And I can imagine for some of your servers, that 50-cent tip is probably the biggest tip they get all year. And I don't mean monetarily. I mean the way it makes them feel. That is incredible. Wow, what an amazing event, and y'all are doing great stuff. Greg, I'm looking at my calendar. It's April 21st, which means May's right around the corner. Mother's Day's coming up. I got to imagine that's a busy day for y'all. What have you got going on for Mother's Day at Salt Creek?
Well, it's the busiest day of the year.
I bet.
Every year. And the reason is we have an incredible Mother's Day brunch, and then we open up, as we normally do, with some incredible specials for dinner. So it's kind of a twin bill on that day. I think last year we served right at 1,100 people for the entire day, and that's a lot of people coming and going. But
yeah, it is.
The staff does a great job. The brunch is fantastic. It's we have prime rib and ham, turkey on the carving station. We have seafood, pasta station, an omelet station, a kids meal station. It's all buffet, and so you can pick and choose what you want, and it's all you can eat. So that's been probably our biggest seller all year is that Mother's Day brunch.
Wow. Dude, if it's all you can eat, you're never getting rid of me. Okay, so that sounds amazing. Do folks need reservations, or is it a first come, first serve kind of thing for Mother's Day?
We only take reservations on holidays for parties of 7 or more, because that's at the point where we have to start putting tables together. We've learned throughout the years that we don't do smaller reservations, because we're able to. Bottom line is we're able to serve more people if we don't take smaller reservations.
Okay.
I mean, if you think if you're just 5 minutes late or maybe 10 minutes late for your reservation, well, that makes the next reservation 10 minutes late, and then you may have to move some tables. And if somebody doesn't show up, you're waiting for them, and that table sits empty while people have been waiting for a half an hour or 45 minutes. So it's much easier just to do walk-ins, and as soon as the table's ready, you seat it right away.
Well, then Mom and Dad and I will walk in on Mother's Day. I'm sure there's probably going to be a little bit of a wait, but definitely well worth the wait. You guys you cannot miss on your menu again. Now, if Mother's Day is coming up, Father's Day can't be too far behind. And some of my favorite people in this world are fathers. Greg, it's me. I'm a father, and I'm my favorite people. Do you guys give dads the same treatment, or is it just we're all about mom, and dad can go grab a burger?
Well, moms are obviously more important, but no, we do the same thing. It's we do the Sunday brunch, and then for dinner, it's a little less brunchy on Father's Day than Mother's Day. I think traditionally Mother's Day is more of a brunch focused, so we're usually a little less busy at brunch, but more busy at dinner for Father's Day, because it's kind of a grill out, steak and potatoes kind of a day. Yeah,
definitely kill it and grill it and serve it to Dad. Great idea. Glad to hear that you're treating the dads well as well. Fantastic. All right, Greg. So you've got all of our bouches amused, and so I want you to hold a booth for us over there at Salt Creek Grill. Now, Greg, we talked about Mother's Day. You happen to know my mom, lovely lady, right?
Oh yeah.
Well, Mom does quite a bit of charity work of her own, as you know, and well, some of the charity work that she does is. Well, she makes me give the last segment of my show to my stupid brother, because I can't have nice things of my own, right? So anyways, Tony's going to be coming on in just a second. He's got some trivia questions, and he wants to play around. Are you up for that? Have you had your coffee? Can you stick around and play with us for a little bit, Greg?
I'll give it a shot. How's that?
All right, fantastic. We've got Greg Amsler from Salt Creek Grill. He's going to play with us. You stick around for Big T's 5 Minutes of Fame. This is SCVI and iLead School's Eye on the Valley. I am Matt Watson, and this is your hometown station, KHTS. Welcome back. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is SCVI and iLead School's Eye on the Valley, and I am your host, Matt Watson. Hey, we got engineer Andrew in the studio.
Good hello.
So glad to have you. How you been lately?
Doing great. Just came back from Georgia.
Yeah,
so.
Enough about you, man. It is time for Big T's 5 Minutes of Fame. Y'all know Big T. Big T is a longtime resident and leader here in the Santa Clarita Valley. He's an executive and philanthropist. He's an amazing father, husband, and community leader. And I recently heard that the Hall of Records here in LA County recently rewrote Big T's birth certificate as a letter of apology. Wah, wah. Here he is, everybody. He's Mom's favorite. Big T, welcome to the show.
Wow, that's a little rough. So happy to be here.
Hey, we're always glad to have you. Mom wrote that in my script. All right, so here we go. Big T, we got Greg Amsler from Salt Creek Grill on the line, and we got engineer Andrew. So what we're going to do is we're going to go with Greg, Frogger, and Andrew. So Greg, we play trivia here. It's a lot like Jeopardy. Tony's going to read some questions, and then you hit your buzzer to buzz in, right? Don't just shout out the answer. You hit your buzzer to buzz in. Did you get the buzzer we sent you?
No, but I can make one up. How's that?
All right, well, I tell you what we'll do is we'll just call out our name. How does that work? So if you know the answer, don't shout the answer, you shout Greg.
Works for me.
All right, fantastic. And those of you listening at home, you can play along with us too. You have a significant advantage. You don't have to hit your buzzers. You don't have to shout your name. You just shout the answer. You keep score at home, see if you can beat us. I'll keep score here in the studio. Big T, let's do it.
Perfect. Got a lot of fun this morning. Got some music trivia. Got some food fun facts and food trivia, as well as some sports. Are you ready to roll?
Absolutely. Let's do this.
Perfect. According to Barry Manilow, where's the hottest spot north of Havana? Greg.
Miami or Copacabana?
Copacabana is correct. Nice pull. Neil Diamond's Sweet Caroline, who's the song named after?
Frogger. Carol Burnett.
Greg.
Incorrect. Greg.
Caroline Kennedy?
That is correct. Nice pull.
Wow.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you very little.
What type of milk was mozzarella cheese traditionally produced from?
Frogger. Goat's milk.
Incorrect.
Dang
it. Anybody else?
Nope. Whole milk, Andrew. Said it backwards.
Incorrect. Buffalo mozzarella.
Well, that's what I was getting.
Okay.
Oh.
Hey, Big T, have you ever tried to milk a buffalo?
No, they don't like it. Which country does paella come from?
Frogger.
Spain.
You know, we buy from Spain.
We buy from Spain. That is correct.
All right.
When the Dodgers moved to Los Angeles in 1958, where did they play their home games?
Greg.
Andrew.
The Coliseum.
L.A. Coliseum's correct.
Yep.
Where did Magic Johnson go to college?
Andrew.
Greg.
Oh.
Michigan State.
We'll give that to Greg
I'll
without
give
the
it to
buzzer.
Yeah.
There we go.
The L.A. Kings. Oh, I missed it.
He did.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah. He
Big T gets a little testy sometimes.
Hey, just
Frogger,
don't mess
your
up
mic
the
on?
years on the classic rock questions, all right?
Perfect.
Yeah.
The Los Angeles Kings colors are black, silver, and white. What were their primary colors before the change? Andrew.
They were purple and gold. Purple and gold
is correct. What genre of music was exemplified by The Hustle and Staying Alive?
Greg.
Frogger.
That'd be disco.
Disco's correct. What band called the Queen a fascist regime in the 70s?
I feel like there's another half of that question. Say that again.
What band called the Queen of England a fascist regime back in the 1970s?
Oh, I know this. It's Greg. It's Johnny Rotten and Sid Vicious, who were members of something.
We will give that to you. The Sex Pistols is correct.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
I didn't understand the question. Okay, so you were okay. So
all right.
Not all right. All right. They called the. Yeah, I get it. All right.
My 6-ounce pour just went to a 9-ounce pour on that question right there.
Right.
What can you check out anytime you like, but you can
Andrew.
never leave? Andrew.
The Hotel California.
That is correct. What was the last name of siblings Donnie and Marie?
Frogger. Osmond.
Osmond's correct.
We got a tight one here.
What is added to dough to make it rise?
Andrew.
Greg.
Andrew, then Greg.
I was going to go with the yeast.
Yeast is correct. What's the most expensive spice?
Frogger.
Baby
spice.
Sadly, no. Greg.
Posh.
Fantastic.
I had no idea.
Andrew, you got anything?
Go cinnamon. I have no idea.
Incorrect. Saffron goes from about $500 a pound to $5,000 per pound.
Yikes! That'll make a pork chop expensive.
Greg.
Yep. Greg.
What?
Deer.
Deer's correct. Roger, do you want to hear that question again or no?
Yeah, deer was what?
What animal does venison come from?
Oh, okay.
Deer. Greg got it correct.
Yeah.
All right. Which nuts are used to make marzipan?
Frogger.
Frogger.
Almonds.
That is correct.
Yeah!
From which country does Limburger cheese originate?
Frogger.
Greg.
Frogger.
Germany.
Incorrect, Greg.
Oh, no.
Holland.
Incorrect. You got anything, Andrew?
France.
Belgium.
Belgium.
Ooh.
You know, I did hear that
Belgium.
you can smell the town of Limburger from about 5 miles away.
I've heard that, too. What's the world's hottest chili called?
Frogger.
Frogger.
Is that the ghost pepper?
Ghost pepper's correct.
Woo.
What famous announcer was the Dodgers' lead play-by-play man when Vin Scully started his career?
Oh, Frogger.
Greg.
Frogger than Greg.
Red Barber here up in the catbird seat.
That's correct. Wayne Gretzky changed L.A. hockey. What team did he play for before the Kings?
Greg.
Greg.
Edmonton Oilers.
Edmonton Oilers is correct.
Yeah, with confidence.
A college teammate of Michael Jordan. Where did James Worthy play college basketball?
Greg.
Andrew.
Greg.
North Carolina.
North Carolina's correct. Which Italian town is the setting for Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet?
Frogger.
Frogger.
I think it's Verona.
Verona's correct. Nice pull, Frogger.
Hey, that's the opening line. That's
What
the
was
only part I read
America's
of that play.
What was America's first national park?
Frogger.
Frogger.
It's this one or that one. Or it's this. I'm
Right.
going Yellowstone.
Yellowstone's correct.
All right.
Where do U.S. vice presidents live?
Greg.
Greg.
The executive mansion.
Incorrect.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing.
Does Washington D.C. count?
Sure.
In a house.
The U.S. Naval Observatory.
All right. No, I'm not taking the point on that. Do they really? They live in the U.S. Naval Observatory. All right. Interesting.
Yeah. What state is known as the Badger State?
Andrew.
Greg.
Andrew then
Wisconsin.
Greg. Wisconsin's correct.
Yeah.
What state has the longest freshwater shoreline?
Frogger.
Frogger.
Michigan.
Michigan's correct. Nice pull.
All right. I was about to go Mississippi because of the river, and then I realized, we got some big lakes up there. Yeah.
What song was about the day the music died?
Greg.
Greg.
American Pie.
Good pull. Nice pull. What Australian hard rockers did Dirty Deeds
Frogger.
cheap?
Greg.
Frogger.
AC/DC.
AC/DC's correct.
Waste my time.
What song by Leonard Skinner became the most requested song of all time at concerts?
Andrew. Free bird.
Andrew then Greg. Free bird. What band was composed of a cop, a soldier, a construction
Andrew.
worker, a cowboy? Andrew.
Greg.
YMCA.
How
I did
am
it.
Incorrect, Greg.
Oh!
yeah.
No!
Village People.
There we go.
Village People is correct.
Tony, I got one for you.
They sang it. Come on.
And-
Give me half a point for that.
According to our father, Papa, what is that band's true name?
I don't remember.
It was the Village Idiots, remember?
Yes, now I remember that.
Dad was not a fan.
No.
Love you, Papa.
Next question. Speaking of Andrew's YMCA, what does YMCA stand for?
Greg.
Oh,
Greg.
Young Men's Christian Association.
That is correct.
go.
What number one hit of 1975 was about truckers talking on their CB radios?
Greg.
Oh.
Greg.
Breaker 19 by C.W. McCall.
Frogger.
That is incorrect. Frogger.
It is C.W. McCall, but it is Convoy.
Convoy.
Oh.
Yeah.
What country produces the most tea?
Frogger.
Greg.
Frogger than Greg?
China.
China's correct.
All right. Big T, we got time for one more.
Who did the U.S. buy Florida from?
Greg.
Greg.
Spain.
Spain. What a great showing by Mr. Andy.
Right? And with that, he tied it up. So what do we do? Hey, Greg, I guess we just share a bottle of wine together, huh?
There you go. Sounds good to me.
Fantastic. All right, Big T, thanks for swinging by. We appreciate you. We'd also like to thank our guests, SCVI facilitator Ally Benedetti and her students Solomon Press and Everett Osterkamp, head volleyball coach at COC Lisa Hooper, Greg Amsler with Salt Creek Grill, producer Sarah, engineer Carlos, engineer Andrew, Big T, and thank you for listening. Remember, friends, life is hard, but we're all here to help each other along. Be well and do good. Join us again next week and every Friday, 8 to 10 a.m. I am Matt Watson, and this is SCVI and iLead School's Eye on the Valley on your hometown station, KHTS.